The drill instructor's voice cut through the pre-dawn darkness like a whip crack. "Martinez, you think this is a spa? Move those feet." It was 4:35 a.m., and Private Elena Martinez's legs trembled as she struggled through another set of burpees in the mud-slicked training yard. The other recruits moved in sync around her, their bodies already hardened by 3 weeks of boot camp while she fought to keep pace. Her lungs burned, her arms shook, and somewhere in the back of her mind she heard her uncle's words from the day she enlisted. "You're too small, Elena. Too soft. They'll break you in a week. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from." But Elena hadn't broken. Not in week 1 when Sergeant Davis made her do 200 push-ups for dropping her rifle. Not in week 2 when the other recruits whispered that she should quit before she got someone hurt. Not even on the night she'd cried silently in her bunk, her whole body screaming in pain, wondering if everyone was right about her. She'd wiped her tears, set her alarm for 3 a.m., and spent the extra hours training alone in the moonlight. Because Elena Martinez didn't know how to quit, fall in for the obstacle course. Sergeant Davis bellowed across the field. This was it, the final test before graduation. 40 recruits lined up at the starting point, their faces grim with determination. The course stretched before them like a gauntlet of nightmares. Walls to climb, ropes to swing from, tunnels to crawl through, and the infamous death ladder. A 60-foot vertical climb that had sent 3 recruits home with injuries this cycle alone. Elena took her position, feeling the weight of dozens of eyes on her. She knew what they were thinking. She'd heard the bets in the mess hall. $20 said she wouldn't make it past the rope swing. The whistle blew. Elena exploded forward, her small frame surprisingly quick across the tire run. She'd learned something these past weeks. She couldn't overpower the obstacles, but she could outsmart them. While others muscled through, she found the angles, the leverage points, the efficient paths. At the rope swing, she watched 2 larger recruits struggle with their momentum, swinging wild and falling into the water below. Elena stepped up, calculated the arc, and used her lighter weight to control the swing perfectly, landing clean on the far platform. "Not bad, Martinez," someone shouted. It was Jackson, the biggest guy in their platoon who'd been one of her harshest critics. Something shifted in his voice, respect maybe. Elena didn't have time to think about it. The death ladder loomed ahead, its metal rungs slick with morning dew. She grabbed the first rung and began to climb. 20 feet up, her hand started slipping. 30 feet, and her grip weakened. At 40 feet, her left hand lost its hold. Time seemed to freeze. She dangled by one arm, her body swinging in the wind, 60 pairs of eyes watching from below. "Fall protocol." Sergeant Davis's voice sounded distant, like it was coming from underwater. But Elena's mind flashed to a memory. Her little brother Miguel, 7 years old, asking if she was really going to be a soldier. The strongest one they've ever seen, she'd promised him. She wasn't breaking that promise. Not today. Not ever. With a scream that came from somewhere deep in her soul, Elena swung her body and caught the ladder with her other hand. The crowd below gasped. She climbed. One rung, another. Her muscles felt like they were tearing, but she climbed. At the top, she slammed her hand on the bell so hard it echoed across the entire base. The recruits below erupted in cheers, but graduation day brought a surprise no one expected. As Sergeant Davis read the names of those passing to active duty, he paused before the final name. This cycle, we had someone who proved that heart outweighs size, that determination defeats doubt. Private Martinez not only passed, she scored highest in strategic thinking, advanced combat scenarios, and overall performance. Elena's jaw dropped. The recruits around her stared in disbelief. "Private Martinez, front and center." She marched forward on shaking legs. Sergeant Davis's stern face finally cracked into something resembling a smile. "There's one more thing, Private. Your scores qualified you for something we rarely see in boot camp." He held out a certificate. "You've been selected for Officer Candidate School, and your name will be entered in the Base's Hall of Honor as this cycle's distinguished graduate." The world blurred as tears filled Elena's eyes. Behind her, Jackson started clapping. Then another recruit joined. Then another. Soon the entire platoon was applauding, even the ones who'd bet against her. That night, as Elena packed her gear, she found a note slipped under her door. It was from Sergeant Davis, and it said just 5 words. "I knew you'd prove them wrong." She looked at her reflection in the window, saw not the small, soft girl her uncle described, but a soldier who'd earned her place. Tomorrow she'd call Miguel and tell him his sister kept her promise. Today her name would join the Hall of Honor, proof that they were all wrong about what she could become.